is going on, man? Is that boy Texas Yankee? Today we gotta talk about what Draymond Green got into, man. We gotta get into it. So real quick, if you like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Really helps the channel grow. Continue to do what we're trying to do over here. You know what I'm saying? If you like basketball, music, football content, this is the place to be. So we're gonna keep it going. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Let's get into it without talking too much. You know what I'm saying, man? Obviously, most of y'all probably seen this already, but we're going to go ahead and watch the clip just to give some context.
Reach is such a great pass.
Look at what Draymond is doing there. Just bah that dude right in the head, man. Call for foul.
Jason Goble indicating they will go to the monitor here. Nurkic is
I
down.
got to review that shit. See, at first, he's defending himself, not apologizing. At the end, after the game, he said, "Oh, it was an accident, my bad," you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, look at this, bro. Right from here. He's got his arm there, spins around right in the face. You can see the dude on the bench here for the Suns. Right here. Look at his face. He's like, what the fuck?
Well, that's going to be a flagrant. And now they're going to just try to decide.
Yeah, and you can see how the Warriors bench reacts. Look at Steve Kerr's face. He's like, man.
It's going to be at least a flagrant one.
And then he throws his hands up over here.
Which would be an ejection. Well, that is a swipe across the face.
Bad, bro.
Go to the monitor here.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty clear evidence right there. They're taking.
I think that's pretty hard to say that's unintentional. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
angles we are.
Sometimes you want to get the benefit of the doubt, but
Green makes unnecessary and excessive contact to the face.
Yeah, it was right to the face, and he just spun around and whipped his arm, man. He didn't, you know what I mean? I guess he was tugging on him, but can't be doing that, bro. And Draymond's been hurting this team, man, recently. I can't lie. But anyway, man, we're going to get out of the clip and we're going to go look at some stats real quick. All right, so Draymond Green, man, this year he's only contributed 1 win share up to this point, which, you know, you can kind of, I think that's a very arbitrary stat depending on who you ask. It is kind of hard to quantify, but that does say something about what he's contributed to the team at this point. And I mean, he shot the ball well, you know what I'm saying? He's having really, besides rebounds, a fine year career-wise. But him being out and getting ejected so much is what's really been hurting his games. And what I was trying to show is like, so obviously here's the stat lines per game, right? He's been pretty consistent. He averages about 7-8 points a game every year. This year he's almost at 10 though, and that's kind of out of the fact that they don't have too much scoring in general. You know what I'm saying? Klay Thompson hasn't been great this year. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins hasn't been great this year. Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody have kind of had to step up off the bench a little bit, but they haven't necessarily been consistent enough to provide that every game. So, 4-time All-Star in his career, obviously. And what is the, I guess, what I would say most contributing factor to that is honestly team success. Because if you look at all of the stats, right, none of these, I mean, these ones do jump out as like, obviously his best scoring years, but in terms of being his actual best years on the court, like this one right here is not necessarily a worse year than the year after it, right? So that's kind of how the league has seen him, as a product of the Warriors system, and I think that's fair to say. I think Steve Kerr and the team around him have really contributed a lot, but what you can say is he has gotten his efficiency up pretty drastically in the recent years, I would say. He's able to convert on a lot of his attempts. His rebounding being down, I think, is kind of just a virtue of him playing less minutes, but you can kind of take that into the fact that he's fouling out of games. He's getting ejected. I mean, Like, there's not really an excuse for that. And if we look at the Warriors roster breakdown here, we can see that in terms of team salaries, right? You got Steph Curry, obviously. He's making his 52. And where's Clay? You got Clay next up. Then you got Chris Paul. That's already 3 players right there making what? 120 million at least. You got Andrew Wiggins, 24 mil. And then your next highest paid player is Draymond Green at 22 million, right? No one else on the team is making over 10 million. The next closest player being Gary Payton, the second. And, you know, him signing that contract recently is what kind of puts this team maybe in a precarious position because, like, with Klay Thompson, he's near the end of his contract, so it's not as big of a consideration. If they really have to, they can let him walk. If they need to throw him in a trade package, a team can kind of consider that into it. They could throw him to a team that doesn't really have a lot of money on the books currently, so they could open more room in the future for assets that they want to sign in free agency or that kind of thing. How many more years does Klay Thompson have in the league, though? That is a good question. I also want to add on. This is kind of just becoming a whole Warriors video in general. What is really just, I guess, discouraging, and I'm not a Warriors fan by any means, but I do understand and appreciate, I guess, the greatness of Steph Curry, obviously, in the Warriors dynasty, and I appreciate what they've done for the league and how they've kind of rebuilt the style of basketball that we see a lot, right? So I think in today, Clay and Draymond are obviously past their prime, and I don't necessarily know how much they can contribute. I think Draymond could still be that role guy, but he's taken up too much salary at this point with the rest of the team they have built around them. Chris Paul, I don't know how much that helps with the actual construction in the playoffs. It's just a very precarious situation, and I don't necessarily know that their last dance is going to go out with a bang like you would hope, right? So we'll see what they can do. I think trading Klay Thompson would be a lot easier, but I still think they obviously aren't going to get much back for him. And I'm saying this because I think they need to capitalize on the last couple years that Steph Curry likely has at this all NBA level as one of the top 10 players in the NBA. They need to capitalize on that before he also begins to regress, and then it's just kind of too late for them. And they have to move on, and they haven't even done a good job of that, you know? So, what's funny here is that Gordon Hayward is rated the most similar player to Draymond Green, which I don't know how exactly they do that. Is it just win shares? That's interesting. But, yeah, man. It's basically what I got to say at this point. Draymond needs to be more responsible. He needs, he's one of their better players at this point, even though he is regressing. He's still probably, their second or third best player at this point, which is kind of crazy to say. But, I mean, I think you got Steph Curry. I think Chris Paul is still decent, but, I think you could argue right now it's either Chris Paul or Draymond. So, with him, likely being suspended again after this, it's just really taken away from what they can maybe put together with what they have right now. But in all seriousness, I think they need to blow it up and just kind of try to retool around Steph Curry, find a way to move on from Clay and Draymond, and find a way to incorporate these younger guys a little bit more. So that's been it for today, man. It's your boy, Texas Yankee. Again, leave a like, comment, subscribe for me. It'll really help us continue to grow, and I just appreciate y'all being here, man. So I'll see y'all next time.